My name's Karen Cody. I'm Vice President of the Association of Bell, Clarence, and Dargan. And I'm just going to give a bit of an overview of the project activities that we've got coming up and how this sits within them, because we've got quite a few activities that will be happening over the next year, and just so that you have a bit of a handle on what to expect. Now, this project that we're about to do now, this is being funded by the Disaster Risk Reduction Fund by the Australian Government and New South Wales, and there's also some funding from Rotary that's been provided to us as well. And the activities that we're going to undertake through this project, basically we're bringing in different consultants to talk about different aspects of how you can reduce your risk of bushfire. So this first one is about more along the lines of bushfire planning activities. But then, as you'll see in another slide, we'll also be doing ones where we go to people's houses, where they volunteer their house and their property to be looked at. And the consultant will talk about what's your best bang for the buck to actually reduce your risk of bushfire there. And we'll also have activities at the street level in different neighborhoods in the 3 villages that will be coming up. So the project will have a mix of different consultants, and it will also be undertaken through a partnership with the Mountains Community Resource Network. They have a project called the Resilient Villages Project. Claire, in the back there, Claire Absalom, is from Resilient Villages Project, and she's agreed to take a video of the presentation so that we can make it available to future residents so they have access to the information, and also for residents who've missed this particular presentation, they can take a look at it later on. Now, Claire will also be asking if there's anybody who wants to be interviewed either at the break or after this presentation, just in terms of what you're looking for in terms of further information on bushfire risk reduction. So if you'd like to do that, just speak with Claire directly. Now, okay. Oh, I should also add that because Claire's shooting from the back, your faces won't actually be visible unless you want them to be in the production. So that's our means of maintaining your privacy. Okay. Okay, so the aim of this project is to have knowledgeable residents and landowners who can identify and prioritize the bushfire hazards in their area, and give you the information and access to resources to actually address those hazards, and to enable you to lead the development of a community resilience action plan. So the idea of this community resilience action plan is that we can then use it to ensure that governments, emergency services, and support agencies have clear messages in terms of what you need and how they can help to reduce our bushfire hazards and manage future emergency events in our area. So it's trying to give you access to information and resources so that you can develop the plan and we'll get it written up and pass it on to government so that they're better informed for future events. So there's 5 components to the project. The one that we're just starting now is these information events. There's also some vulnerability assessments and planning. There's the resilience action plan where the community itself is involved in the planning. We'll then be accessing a technical report that takes a look at the feasibility and the costs of the recommendations that you put forward in terms of what needs to happen in the community. And then that information then goes into a formal report that will go to government emergency services and support agencies so that we're better prepared for the future. And they know what we're looking for them to actually do. So this first event up here, I'll get into some detail, but basically there's activities around bushfire planning. As I said, there's activities related to building and property assessments and also to neighborhood assessments. We'll also have some workshops on how to do mosaic burning and also pile burning techniques so that we don't end up with these 5-meter high pile burns where people basically throw the petrol on it and run. But anyway, so I'll get into a bit of detail in terms of these information events, but that's just an overview in terms of what you can expect over the next year in terms of types of activities. All right. Okay, so we've already had one of these bushfire planning information sessions. There's also today's, and then as I said, we'll have 6 building and property assessments. And the idea is that we'll take a look at individual buildings. We'd like to have a whole range of different types of buildings involved. And this is where we're really keen to have residents volunteer their building and their property to be part of that project. So we're looking at houses built of brick, wood, color bond, weatherboard, any different types we're interested in, because each of those types of building construction styles have their own particular risks associated with them.
Can I ask a question about that, Karen? Would that be like a group of residents coming to your house to look at your building and get tips about that? And do you come and do an assessment beforehand to talk to, or everyone just turns up at once and we look at it?
No, what we'll do is we'll identify those people who actually want to volunteer their property. Then there'll be a very quick look at the property and sort through some details, such as beyond just the construction style, actually ask the resident what are their aims in terms of the building, because some people, they're looking to sell in a year or two, they're looking to get out of the area. Their objectives are different in terms of the type of hazard reduction that they're looking to have. And we'll also talk through some issues such as, for example, we wouldn't have people going into the house. Are there areas on their property that they don't want people milling about? A marijuana plantation will be off limits, for example. And things like insurance.
So it will be available in the
and we'll talk through as well some of the insurance issues. So the idea would be that we would then, residents would come from the area that would like to attend that particular session, and the consultant will then talk through, well, for this building, for this owner's objectives, what's the best bang for the buck? You know, what are the top 3 things, for example, that they could do? It might be sprinklers, it might be reducing vegetation close to the house, it might be putting screen material underneath the front veranda to stop embers from getting in there. It's a discussion of those types of things and the pros and cons of each of those methods. The other aspect then, the other type of information event that will occur is a neighborhood assessment. So in that case, we'll go to a particular street where residents, a group of residents have said, look, we really do want to do something at this end of the street. For example, say the end of Valley View Road. And we'll talk about, at the beginning, the consultant will basically have a series of maps there, talk about the gradient, the slope in that area, the type of vegetation, where's the greatest risk, where did bushfires previously come through that area, and where are they likely to pass through in a future event, right? And then that will then be followed by a walk and talk, where you basically walk down the street, talk about different issues, and what's the best way of addressing those. Any questions about that? So, as I said, really interested in having people tell us if they'd like to be part of these building and property assessments, and also the neighborhood assessments, if you can talk to your neighbors on your street and see if they'd like to participate in that. If you come up with some suggestions that you'd like us to do something with your property or in your neighborhood, send an email to abcdcoordinator@gmail.com. And then we'll be in further contact with you. Again, the other information event, as I said previously, is this mosaic burning and pile burning techniques. Okay. So today, I've given you an overview of what this particular project is about. Kevin McCusker, who's the deputy captain with this local RFS brigade, is going to talk about the 2019 bushfires. And we've got a map on that you can take a look, besides this one. We also have another map on the screen that's a bit lit up a bit better. And then Lynn Liston, who's from Black Ash Consulting, will actually give the main presentation. And I just want to highlight that at the end of today's talk, I have a very short survey. If you could fill it out, it would help us tremendously. It's anonymous. We just need your ideas in terms of how you found the session and what you'd like to see in terms of additional information that you might receive. Also, as I said, Claire would like to do a few interviews if you'd like to volunteer for that after the session or during the lunch break. Just speak with Claire directly and she'll take you through that. Okay, any questions? No? All right, I'll give you to Kevin, and if you could flick it through. Yeah, you got it.